Hi guys, this is Sam from Fluid Social, talking to you from Leblon, Posto 12, Rio de Janeiro. Today I'm going to do an updated travel guide for 2022 and 2023. I did the one for 2021, but I want to update you with what's changed, which bars have changed, which areas are now better to go, which are worse, which areas are safer, new restaurants, everything you need to know if you're traveling to Rio de Janeiro in 2022 or 2023. So let's go. Ha! The first thing to think if you're an estrangeiro, a gringo, someone from outside of Brazil who's thinking of traveling over here, is your actual money, your financial situation. Now, there's a lot of confusing aspects, so I'm just going to go over some of them. First thing is, whatever card you're using over here is a credit card, right? It may well be a debit card, it may be a Visa card, it may be a MasterCard. It's a credit card in Brazil. Every time they ask you debit or credit, say credit, because a debit card basically means a local Brazilian card. Now, what cards work the best? Any international banking card is going to work in most places. So if you have Sterling, Monzo, Revolut, TransferWise, these are all going to work pretty good in the shops, botecos, restaurants, bars in Rio de Janeiro. So you should be fine with them. It's also a good idea to have a bit of money on you, right? I tried to have maybe like 750 to 1,000 reais at home in cash, just in case you need it for something, in case one of your cards stops working. This can happen. The chip can break, and it's very difficult, nigh on impossible, to get it replaced over here if that does happen. Now, you can open up a Brazilian bank account. What you need in order to do that is a CPF. And in order to get a CPF, you have to fill in a form online, which I'm going to include in the link in the description, a link to that website and how you can do that. But essentially you need to fill in a form, print it out, take it to one of the consularios, one of the notaries, basically a Brazilian piece of the bureaucracy, a little, I've forgotten the name of them, but you take it there, sign it, pay a symbolic amount of money, like €7.50 or something like that, and then they'll send it to you over email. Once you've got a CPF, you can use it for opening a bank account, getting a good deal on a Brazilian SIM card, and many other functions over here. Booking tickets for events and parties online. There's many things that require a CPF that Brazilians can obviously do, that estrangeiros or foreigners don't have access to doing, so it's worth getting a CPF. Now, in terms of budgeting and saving, I'm going to go over a few of the things that you should think about if you're trying to budget and save money. The first of which is don't get robbed. So if you are going to take money out with you, don't take more than a couple of hundred reais out, because there's always a risk, especially if you're going to the center of Rio, to the north of Rio, that you're not going to come back with that money, right? Now, it's not to catastrophize and traumatize you, but it can happen if you don't play your cards well and if you don't act in a kind of like fairly responsible way in certain parts of Rio de Janeiro. So let me go over some of the banks that you can use and some of the ways that you're best advised to think about banking. So there's a number of banks that you're going to find. There's Itaú, Bradesco, Banco 24 Horas, Banco 24 Hours, Santander. The only one that I've reliably been able to take money out of is Bradesco. With most of my cards, I can go into a Bradesco branch, and after a couple of tries, I'm able to work one of my credit cards. There's really no rhyme or reason to sometimes why you can't take money out. They don't explain why it doesn't work. Sometimes it doesn't work the first 2 times you try, and then it works the 3rd time. So you've just got to bear with Rio de Janeiro. It plays to its own rules, so you kind of got to be patient with that. But Bradesco is fairly reliable, and Banco 24 Horas, Banco 24 Hours, is also a good option. Places you're going to find them is along the main high streets and in the shopping malls. Now, also along the main high streets, you're going to find little ATMs. You're going to find spots where you can go and take money out of. I don't advise using these because very often someone takes their money out and immediately they become a target for a robbery, right? Someone sees them across the street, fresh, taking money out. At the very minimum, if you use the street one, you're going to get a lot of people coming to you and asking for money and expecting you to give them something or hoping that you're going to give them something. At worst, you could make yourself a target for robbery because you're just an easy target if you've taken a few hundred reais out of a bank account. Much better to enter into the bank itself and do so there. It's a much safer way to think about it. So that is the basics of banking in Rio de Janeiro. So I'm here with Agnes. Oi, Agnes, tudo bem?
Oi.
Então, para as estrangeiros chegando no Rio de Janeiro, principalmente você conhece com gringos, com estrangeiros aqui no Rio?
Um pouco, assim.
Mais ou menos.
Mais ou
às
menos,
vezes.
sim.
E você acha, né? Sua experiência tem uma energia ou vibe diferente com estrangeiros e com cariocas, brasileiros?
Todos os estrangeiros que eu conheço, todos gostam daqui. E eu gosto bastante, porque eu conheço gente nova, experiência nova.
Então, para eles é diferente essa cultura, né? O jeito que pessoas comunicar aqui, conversar, é bem mais social.
Sim.
Na sua opinião, o que você avisa para eles ficar mais interativo com pessoas no Brasil, com a cultura?
Aqui no Brasil, as pessoas são muito receptivas, são muito sociáveis, são bem amigáveis. Só tem que tomar um pouco de cuidado, assim.
Como assim?
Por exemplo, se uma pessoa vê que você é estrangeiro, ela vai já começar, tipo, querer te vender coisas. E tem que tomar cuidado com isso. Mas de fora isso, é bem amigável, assim.
Se você viu algumas pessoas com câmera assim... A gente tá segura, né? Porque a gente tem você aqui.
Sim.
Ah, boa. Pra algumas estrangeiros é melhor ficar mais quieta, ficar um pouco mais sutil.
Sim. Aqui é bom, é uma cidade linda, tem que gravar, só que tem que tomar um pouco de cuidado, assim. Se passar alguém, né, aí guarda o celular, não fica com muito celular na rua. Mas na praia é tranquilo.
Mais ou menos, né?
Na praia...
Nada é totalmente seguro, mas...
Nada é totalmente seguro, mas ninguém vai te assaltar com arma, assim. Sempre é um furto. Sempre
melhor.
furto.
Não é perfeito, mas é melhor.
Sim.
Você é muito linda e pra conversar, pra ficar com uma gatinha, mulher do Brasil, que você avisa? Como que você gosta, homens falam com você?
Sempre com educação, assim. Sempre com educação. Oi, tudo bem? Assim, só educação, assim. Já tá muito bom.
O que você gosta em um homem? Tipo, graça, como assim?
Como assim?
Tipo, alguns homens tá sem graça, eles não tá sorrindo muito, não tá rindo. Alguns brasileiros, cariocas especificamente, são mais suaves, são mais devagar.
Na dele, sim.
Então, o que você avisa pra falar, tipo, com você?
Aqui as mulheres esperam os homens chegar. Tipo, o homem que tem que ir na menina, assim. Não sei como é fora, mas aqui sim. As meninas que esperam os homens chegar.
Tá.
Ok?
Sempre. Elas não chegam na frente.
Não, elas não chegam.
Eu só tenho uma amiga que faz isso. E é incrível, eu gosto.
Ela é?
Eu saio com ela e ela é interessante. Ela sai.
E é brasileira?
Ela é carioca.
Ah, sim.
Mas ela gosta de gringo.
Ah!
Suíço, francês.
Eu já fui pra Suíça.
Você conheceu com as pessoas lá?
Um pouco. Meu inglês é bem ruim, assim.
Não, você fala perfeito. Fala, oi, meu nome é Agnes, em inglês.
Hey, my name is Agnes.
She speaks perfectly, look at this. You're perfect, that's a beautiful English. You're a professional, you could be my English teacher.
Não, eu sou péssima, assim.
Não
Poderia dar umas aulas.
Confiança no coração, precisa ficar com confiança e vai falar direito. Tá, Agnes, muito obrigado pra sua avisa. Guys, we're going to go over some accommodation. Where do you want to stay? So you're thinking about traveling here, you're going to stay for between a month and 4 months, or even if you're just going to stay a week, let's think about where you want to stay. So right now we're in Leblon, in front of Bar Joby, which is one of the oldest, more traditional bars in Leblon. This is the best area to stay. There's probably not many people who would disagree with that. It's the most expensive because it's the best. You've got the best bars and restaurants on these streets, you've got beautiful people, you've got an amazing old culture, and it's well kept, lots of police. The streets are generally speaking very clean. So if you want to stay in Leblon, you'll be looking to spend around 800 to 1,200 pounds for 1 month, and maybe 700 to 1,000 if you're thinking of staying 4 months for a decent studio apartment. That means you've got a studio apartment in one of the main streets, one of the nice streets, with a general sense of cleanliness and not too sort of old. If you're looking to stay in shared housing, you could probably spend around 300 or 400 pounds a month if you want to stay in a room, but it's not a studio apartment, and you can find opportunities like that. But Leblon is the #1 place to stay for anyone traveling here, particularly if you're not familiar with the culture. Next best place is probably Ipanema. There's a little less to do in Ipanema. It's not so much a place where there's a lot happening in the streets in the day, sort of like you see here. You're seeing a lot of movement in the streets. Over there in Ipanema, people stay indoors a little bit more. They're going from A to B. They don't really hang around in the street much. There are more bars this year opening in Ipanema, like Garoa, Belmonte and Bruteco, that weren't there before. So the nightlife is improving, and there's a lot of hostels in Ipanema, which means that there's always a little party going on somewhere. But even still, it's not got the same energy and vibrancy as Leblon. It doesn't have as much movement in the streets. And in terms of bars at night as well, Leblon has Rua Dias Ferreira, which is going to have the best bars on. It's got people outside talking, drinking in the street. It's got a load of the most famous bars and restaurants. Ipanema has some great bars and restaurants, but they don't attract a crowd in quite the same way. It's more of a date location or a place you'd go out with friends when you're not looking to socialize and looking to actually have a proper night out. And if you're looking to stay in Ipanema, you're thinking maybe you'll spend 100 to 200 pounds less per month. Probably about 0.75 the cost of staying in Leblon. Next one I would recommend is Botafogo. After Ipanema, it's more of a hipster spot. It's got a lot of that vibrancy. It's got a lot of cool cafes, maconheira cafes, like people who smoke weed will go to some of these cafes, and there's a lot of secrets to Botafogo. There's a lot of old colonial style buildings. Again, it's very safe. There's a big police station in the center. There's 2 great shopping malls. So it's a great place, but again, you're not gonna find the same vibrancy and movements, people sitting at bars and restaurants in the streets in the day. It doesn't have the same vibe. It's more of a place that people go back to at the end of the day, or go to and from, but they don't really hang around much there. In Botafogo, you're probably looking to spend about 0.6, 0.65 the price that you're going to be spending in Leblon. The next one is Copacabana. I personally don't recommend staying in Copacabana. It is, in my opinion, one of the more dangerous places in Rio for a gringo to stay. Reason being, you go to Copacabana, and everyone knows that there's 3 favelas around Copacabana, and everyone there knows that you're going to find tourists in Copacabana. And so the streets are sort of a bit dirtier. There's a lot more homelessness generally on the streets. It's a lot more overt. And you're going to find more young kids that are going around and looking to either rob or to ask for money from the tourists. So there's a bit of a seedy, bit of a dirty vibe there. Now, it's not terrible. You've got the beachfront, you've got the amazing kiosks, you've got the Selena Hotel and a few of the best hotels in Rio, which are good places to stay. But you'll find basically wherever you walk around in the streets, there's going to be a weird energy. There's going to be some things happening. There's going to be a dodgy vibe there. So I don't recommend Copacabana as a place to stay, but it's about the same price as Botafogo, about 0.7 times the price of Leblon. Other places you can consider staying, Gavia. I'm just going to roll through these. You don't need much information because I don't expect any of you are going to live there. Gavia, Jardim Botânico, Barra da Tijuca. These are places that are more old-fashioned. You'll find a lot of local families. You don't find many tourists, many gringos there. And again, most of the people that live there are going to travel into Leblon or travel to work somewhere else. It's mainly just a place to live with a few shops around. So it's not somewhere I would recommend. Basically, if you've got the money to fly to Rio, you've got the money to stay in Leblon, I would recommend staying in Leblon. It's where you're going to get the most action. It's where you're going to have the most fun. So that is accommodation in Rio. Again, I've got all of this listed on my cheat sheet that you'll find in the link in the description. So just follow the link and you'll get all of this written down so that you know exactly what you're going to do before you get here. So I'm here with Cazuza in front of Balboa Plaza. Cazuza, for your information, is a Brazilian singer and poet, died in 1990. Check out his music, check out his gram, check out his TikTok, find all the links there. Now I want to talk to you guys about the actual part that most of you are going to be interested in. How do you meet people? Specifically, how do you meet Brazilian girls in Rio de Janeiro? So we're currently on Rua Dias Ferreira, which is probably the best street in Rio de Janeiro if you want to meet girls. So let's go through firstly the daytime. So here in Rio, approaching women in the daytime is very much possible, though it's not culturally particularly normal. The best places to go is in front of the beach where we just were, where we met lovely Agnes. Front of the beach is a great place to go. Walking down that promenade, there's lots of girls, you know, dressed in bikinis, very open, very friendly, very calm. You can basically just run up in front and say, "Hi, excuse me, I just saw you walk past. I thought you looked beautiful. I wanted to meet you," right? That is something that works perfectly well here in Rio de Janeiro. And it's a very good approach, right? A lot of my clients and a lot of my friends use this approach in the daytime and they get great results with Brazilian girls. The other places you can go, except for along the promenade, is actually on the beach itself. Now, obviously, this is somewhere where you've got to be a bit more careful because a lot of the time, girls are just relaxing or having a conversation and they're not always as good reactions when you go and sit down next to them on the beach. Sometimes it makes them feel, in a sense, like they can't escape. Whereas the great thing about approaching a woman in the street here in Brazil is that she knows that if she doesn't want to talk to you, she can just walk away. She can tell you she's got a boyfriend or that she's not interested and walk away. When you chega lá on the beach, when you arrive on the beach, there's a sense that if you sit down with her, how does she get rid of you, right? What if you don't go away? So sometimes girls can feel a little more claustrophobic, but still on the whole, with about 70% of the interactions that I have with beautiful girls on the beach, they're very receptive and they're very open to the conversation. So you've got that walk in front of the beach, you've got the beachfront itself, and you've got this street, Atufo da Paiva. I think that's what it's called. This street is great as well. As you can see from when we're walking around here, there's lots of pretty girls in the daytime as well who are walking down the street. And again, with a bit more caution than on the beachfront, you can just run up, leave a good amount of space, 2 or 3 meters to be honest, put your hand out, look her in the eye and deliver that opening line. Essentially just say that I saw you walking past, I wanted to talk to you because you're beautiful, I wanted to meet you, I had to come and say hi. Whatever you want to say, whatever feels natural, whatever is true to the way that you are feeling. Brazilian women really value genuineness. Now in London, in other cities, I see guys get away with this kind of pickup artist approach where they say an opening line and they progress the interaction in a certain way. Just doesn't work here. Women are scanning you instantly to see if you're normal, to see if you're cool, to see if you're actually confident. And if you're not, and if they feel like you're faking something, it's usually not going to go well, especially not with really beautiful girls. So the best way to do it here is just to go up and be completely direct and be completely honest about how you're feeling at the risk of sounding overly romantic, right? You can say, "You're really beautiful. I really wanted to talk to you. You have amazing eyes." And that is considered more acceptable here than in the UK, where it might be like, "Oh, cheesy line, cheesy guy." Over here, you can say that when you actually feel it and it goes down really well. And you can just be direct. You can say, "I want to spend the afternoon with you. I'm really attracted to you." You know, all of this, like, just honesty, brutal, direct honesty goes down much better here in Rio. So where else can you approach women in the day? Well, to be honest, these are the best areas. You have this road, Rua Dias Ferreira, which generally gets better at nighttime, but there are also some good opportunities in the day. A little bit further down by Boruteco and Belmonte. You've got Ipanema Beach as well, essentially between Posto 9 and Posto 12. That's between Ipanema and the end of Leblon. You're going to find loads of good options. Posto 8 to Posto 9 is the gay area. So it's a dedicated gay area. So they've got the flags and loads of obviously gay guys and girls. So it's a cool place if you want to hang out, but you're probably not going to meet a beautiful straight girl there. It's mostly going to be dudes eyeing you up there. So where else can you go? Ipanema, by the stations. You've got Nossa Senhora da Paz and General Osório. Around those stations, they often have little markets where they sell handmade goods, cheeses, food from the northeast of Brazil, really good food. You can go there, meet some people, pick up some cool souvenirs or some nice food, and it can be really fun. Copacabana, generally speaking, there's not many opportunities. You might get lucky now and then, but I wouldn't say that the most beautiful girls go to Copacabana, except for sometimes along the promenade at the beachfront, because it's where the kiosks in front of the beach all are. And sometimes there you're going to find some pretty girls, usually tourists. But I would say beware, because a lot of the beautiful girls that you meet by Copacabana Beach are also working girls. They are prostitutes, and they go there again because they know that a lot of tourists are going to be there, and so it's a good working environment for them. Again, nothing wrong, you can have some great conversations, but just beware if you think things are moving a little too easily or too fast. Look for the signs that maybe she's interested in your money and not you as a person. Next place I would recommend is Botafogo. Rua Voluntários. Again, all of this information is in the link in the description. Rua Voluntários is a good place to go in the day. Rua Bambina is good. Both of those streets are good in the daytime and at night. And then finally, important mention is any tours or hikes or tourist activities that you do provide amazing opportunities. Now, I've obviously coached thousands of guys on how to go and meet girls, how to improve their dating lives. And what I've seen as a constant pattern is the guys that get the most success in their own terms from this are the guys that treat their life as an adventure. They want to go to this hike, the 2 Irmãos, the Christ the Redeemer hike. And on that hike, they see some girls, and they go and talk to the girls, and they spend the afternoon with them, and they have an adventure. They were doing something naturally that they wanted to do, and it just so happened that there were some beautiful girls there, and they talked to them. Guys that live their life in this way get better results, improve more, and have better success in their own terms than guys that just go out to the same street each day to approach women. So I would highly recommend anywhere you go, but particularly here in Rio de Janeiro, where the vibe is a lot slower, a lot cooler. You know, people are laid back. They say enrolando. They're just rolling with the times. It's much better to go on adventures, to go and do interesting things and meet girls in those environments than to dedicate a day to go out to the streets and approach, because you're always going to carry a little bit of a forçada vibe, like you're forcing something. You're forcing yourself to approach, and you're going to get more in your head. Your approaches are going to come off a little strange, and the women are generally going to be more receptive to you when you're just rolling and you're just out and about and you happen to see her and happen to come and talk to her. So that's how I'd recommend doing it. Hikes, museums, the Museu da Manhã, Museum of Tomorrow, Museu da Arte, Museum of Art, and the Museu da Arte Moderna, the Museum of Modern Art. These are 3 great museums that you can go to that are all going to have some opportunities to meet both tourists and locals alike. And the Centro Banco do Brasil is like another museum with exhibitions and has beautiful girls. Generally speaking, outside of Praça Mauá, which is where the Museum of Art and the Museum of Tomorrow are in Centro, there's not many places. My cameraman and I have been to Uruguaiana before, which is an interesting place and gets an honorable mention, but you're not going to find loads of opportunities, and generally speaking it's going to be more poverty there, so a little bit dodgier, but there are going to be some beautiful girls there as well. So it's good to just check out all the places you can, explore them, ask a local friend or talk to me and I'll put you in touch with someone or tell you myself where is safe to go and how you should approach it. And it's good to just explore your environment and meet women naturally throughout the day. So let's move on to the nightlife. This is the best street arguably in Brazil for nightlife. This is Rua Dias Ferreira, and it's got a load of bars along the front. There are just people lining the street on a Friday or Saturday night, particularly during New Year and Carnival, but all throughout the year, you're gonna find the most beautiful women, some of the most beautiful women you've ever seen on the weekends, walking up and down here, highly receptive to cold approach, extremely beautiful, extremely interesting. It's a very, very good place to come. And you don't need to plan to go out to a bar. You can just stay on this street and see which place is good at the time. So the bars that get an honorable mention would be Garoa, Bazuza, Belmonte, and Bruteco are all good options. E aí, filho, tudo bem? A gente tá filmando. Quer falar uma coisa pra câmera? Não? Boa tarde. You basically just need to turn up here, walk along, see which area takes your fancy, which one you like, and you can just hang out there. Talk to some girls at the bar, talk to some girls walking past. It's a really good place. The local cariocas, my friends that live here in Brazil, They call this street the level difficult, right? So if you think about it as like a game, this is one of the most difficult places to come because the women are the most beautiful, because they dress up, they put on their makeup, they dress up, and they come out here to enjoy the night with their friends. So it's a little bit more difficult to approach the women and to have, I suppose, conversations that maybe turn into dates or turn into relationships, because the women are going to be a bit pickier and the standard and the competition is a bit higher, because there's also a lot of extremely handsome, well-built Brazilian men who've been talking to women for 12 years here. So they have a lot of more options here, but it's good fun. Other places to go, as I mentioned, is Bar Joby, where we just were before. Has a more old-fashioned, slightly older crowd, mid-30s, beautiful women, intelligent, educated, wealthy, but it's a little bit of an older crowd. Ipanema, you've got Garoa, which is by one of the hostels, which I'll come to, Bruteco, Belmonte, and Emporio 39, Emporio 39. These are great bars. They've usually got cool crowds. Emporio has a slightly more weird crowd that want to stay up until 6 a.m. listening to rock music. Garoa has a more kind of smooth electronic crowd. So you've got different vibes in different places. One of the big things I'd recommend for someone staying here, particularly if you're by yourself, is to go to the hostels in Ipanema. Ipanema's full of hostels. Beach House Hostel, Ipanema Beach Hostel, and many, many more. And these hostels often throw little parties on a Saturday night. So if you want to meet some other tourists, digital nomads, people staying here who speak good English, and some Brazilian girls who will usually come to the hostels, consider taking some nights out to visit the hostels, pick up the vibe, pre-drink with some people, maybe before you come here to Dias Ferreira. Copacabana, there's not much to recommend it at night. There's a bar called Pavão Azul, which is good fun. It's a kind of restaurant bar where lots of people come and it's very social, but I would say there's not quite so many beautiful people as you find here in Leblon. And Bip Bipi is an old-fashioned samba bar where you get a lot of the left-wing politicians and people in government, the sort of socialists coming, and they used to traditionally sit there and talk about their strategies for creating political movements towards the left. And these same people still go there. They sit, they talk, they plan, they play samba. So whatever side of the political spectrum you fall on, or whether you're completely apolitical as I am, it's a really cool energy there because you get a sense for Rio's history and you see an interesting crowd, a different crowd. So I would highly recommend visiting Bip Bip. That's Bip Bip. And it's also right in front of the Celino Hostel, which has an amazing roof bar on top with a beautiful view of Copacabana Beach and a lot of beautiful locals and tourists who are staying in the hotel or visiting for a drink. So that's a great place in Copacabana. Botafogo, you have Casa de Matriz, which is an old rock bar. Bukowski, which is a club that is famous for being highly promiscuous. So you can go there and there will be, again, a slightly older crowd, women in their late 20s to 40s, and a lot of the swingers go there. So people who are interested in group sex and outside of marital sex often arrive in Bukowski, and they, maybe this is a secret that I shouldn't be dispelling to the masses, but Bukowski is a very promiscuous bar. So if you want to have casual sex, it's a good place to go and meet some women. There's a bar that is locally known as Bambina on Rua Bambina, which has a karaoke and snooker bar, which is really cool, kind of hipster vibe. You can sing some karaoke, meet some cool locals, play some pool with some friends. Very nice energy. There's the Jungle Garden pub down the road, which is another not so well known bar, but it's good fun. It's got an outdoor terrace and some cool people. And there is Rua Voluntarias, as I mentioned, has loads of bars, sort of like Dias Ferreira, but a little bit less chic and classy and a bit more kind of laid back and cool. Specifically Void Bar on Rua Voluntarias. Now, honorable mention for the nightlife is the Mundolingo sessions. In Rio, there is a company called Mundolingo, which means language, world language, and it's basically language exchange. So if you want to better your Portuguese, if you want to learn a bit of Portuguese, speak to some Brazilian speakers, some Spanish speakers, German, Russian, Czech, English, American, you find them all at these events. The crowd is a little bit more timid, I usually find. It's often like timid travelers who are going there to kind of like make some friends. So I like going there because I often find clients there, and I often meet some kind of nice but slightly introverted foreigners. but you can also meet some cool Brazilian women there, and it's also good fun. So I would recommend at least going to them. They happen on Tuesdays and Thursdays in Ipanema, the Beach House Hostel. No, Ipanema Beach Hostel, and on Thursdays in Botafogo at the Jungle Garden pub. So that's basically the nightlife. Don't ask me about Lapa. Some people like it. There's a lot of samba. I don't like it. It's dirty, it's smelly, and I've never been there without someone trying to rob me. So if you really want to know about Lapa, I can put you in touch with some people that know, but my experience of Lapa has never been anything other than tainted with a slightly dark energy and a little bit less than enjoyable. But some people love it. People get really drunk there. There's lots of parties. There's lots of chaos. So if you really love chaos, it's a good place to go. On a Monday night, Pedra del Sol is a great place to go. There's a big samba party and it's fun. So that's the nightlife in Rio. I need to have a drink of water because I've run out of words. My voice is gone. So yeah, as I said, any details in the link in the description. You can find my cheat sheet with all of this information on it. So follow that link. Então, Ana Beatriz,
Isso,
você é de Goiás?
isso.
E o que você acha do Rio de Janeiro?
Ah, eu amo essa cidade, de verdade.
Por quê? O que você
É uma
gosta?
cidade que eu acho muito bonita e eu gosto muito de praia, dessas coisas. Então, escolhi um lugar certo.
Você gosta de Leblon, Ipanema?
Isso.
Tá ficando aqui também?
Não, eu tô na Gávea, um pouquinho mais pra cima.
Ah, legal. Eu gosto de ir lá. Também já fiquei lá algum tempo.
Aham.
Então, pra você, tá só passando carnaval aqui ou é pra mais tempo? Tá
Não,
ficando?
eu vou ficar morando aqui.
Ah, tá. Vai morar?
Aham.
Que isso? Que legal. Em Gávea mesmo?
É.
Legal. So Gavia is one of the places that I told you was a good place to live. It's a little bit north of Leblon, but it's a nice area. Eu só falei com eles que Gavia é um lugar
Eu entendi, eu
legal.
entendi. Aham.
Então você fala inglês, né?
Eu falo.
Então vamos falar um pouquinho de inglês.
Meu Deus do céu.
What is good about Goiânia? What do you like about Goiás, Goiânia?
I like the city and have a lot of pubs and have a lot of festivals and what's that?
Amigas, família também.
Yes, family and friends.
It's a bit more rural over there, right? There's more of interior, vibe do interior. É mais ou menos assim?
No.
Huh?
It's a big city, Goiânia. It's the I forgot the name of capital. Eu esqueci o que é capital. Não, eu esqueci o que é em inglês. Desculpa.
Tá.
Washington is
Washington DC is the capital of this.
capital. Oh my god.
America.
Yeah, okay.
Capital.
Okay. Capital.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. I thought you forgot the capital of your city, which
No.
would have been
I
wild.
forgot the word mesmo.
Okay, that's okay. Capital.
Okay, yes.
Não,
it's
você
the
fala
capital.
bem inglês. You speak good English.
Thank you. It's the capital of my state, that is Goiás. But have a lot of small cities in Goiás. It's good for tourists. It's my family is from Pirenópolis. It's a small city and have a lot of waterfall.
Beautiful cachoeiras, yeah.
Yes,
Waterfalls. Amazing.
waterfalls. And yes, it's very beautiful.
Você conheceu com gringos lá em Goiás?
No.
Sus primeiro gringo?
Não.
Aqui no Rio.
Aqui no Rio eu já conheci também. Lá é muito, tipo assim, quase não tem, sabe?
So there's no tourists in Goiás, Goiânia.
Yes, but from Brazil.
Yeah.
We have from other countries, but isn't a lot of people.
Okay. And what has been your experience of meeting estrangeiros, tourists, versus Brazilians? Qual a diferença? What's the difference between Brazilians and gringos?
I don't know, I think the gringos, they are like, oh my god, Brazil, and all Brazil is beach and or forests or things like that. But I like the gringos. You're very nice people in Brazil. Yes. Gringos like Brazil. Yeah.
And have you dated a gringo before? Have you namorado?
No.
Beijou?
Yes.
Ah, era diferente, usei língua, ele?
Yes.
Ele usou língua?
No.
Okay, this is a fallacy.
Yes.
Gringos don't use the tongue to kiss.
Yes. It's very different.
Mas eu uso. Beijinho sem língua, né? Não é um beijo de verdade.
Não é de verdade.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you like gringos? They're good people on the whole, but they need to use their tongue when they kiss.
Yes.
And any other advice? So, pra você, avisa o gringo que quer chegar aqui no Rio pra ficar de boa, pra ficar bem aqui. O que você avisa? What do you advise for gringos who want to come to Rio to have a good time?
Oh, Rio is the most beautiful city that you're gonna be your life, and relax. Here, everybody is cool and yeah.
Relax is the big one,
Relax.
Right? Não precisa ficar bem tenso.
Não.
Pode descansar um pouco.
Pode ficar bem tranquilo, assim, é de boa.
You can stay calm and relax a bit and move slowly.
Yeah.
Porque a maioria gringo chega aqui, tá andando rápido, tá fazendo tudo rápido.
Não faz isso não. Aproveita a cidade que vai ser uma experiência incrível.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Your English is good.
Oh, thank you.
So let's talk about eating. Everyone likes to eat. So the best restaurants that I found in Rio de Janeiro are generally the ones either where you can choose exactly what you eat, like a buffet, or the ones where you can choose your plate, where you can essentially pick one protein and two sides. The reason being is that it's very hard to eat healthy unless you find these places. The generic food that you're going to find in Rio de Janeiro is like fried chicken, rice, and beans. That's like a standard meal, right? And farofa. It could all be yellow. You could have a brown and yellow meal. To have vegetables, like I've been to many restaurants here that don't serve vegetables. They have like 30 items on a menu and no vegetables. The salad would just be a bit of like lettuce that's been poorly cleaned with some undressed tomato. I wouldn't say very difficult, but it can be difficult to eat healthy if you don't know where you're going and you don't know exactly what you're looking for. So let me give you some simple recommendations. If you're someone that likes to take care of your health, your nutrition, your fitness, Bibi Sucos, Bibi Lunches, it's the same brand, but it's basically Bibi, B-I-B-I. These places have a menu that allows you to pick like grilled chicken, grilled salmon, grilled fish, whatever, and then have two sides. You can have rice and vegetables, or vegetables and a salad, or broccoli and sweet potato, whatever you want, and some sauce, and it's usually really, really good. You're going to be paying about £5 or £6 in total for that, about $7 or $8, including service and everything like that. So these places are really good places to go. Here in Leblon, we're currently at Entero do Quintal station. It's like the main train station, metro station, towards Posto 11, Posto 12 in Leblon. And just down the road from here, you've got both Balada Mix, Bibi Sucos just down there. And those places are really good for finding these types of food. If you're looking to live on a shoestring budget, there are these little botecos. So if you look over here, you've got one of them here. Now this is what's called a boteco. It's like a very chilled, cheap pub that locals and anyone who's not making loads of money can go buy cheap beer and cheap food. Sometimes the food is actually pretty good, and for 10 sometimes reais, which is like £1.50, you can go there and eat a meal. You can eat like chicken, rice. Sometimes they have a little buffet area as well. So I eat lunch every day for like £2 usually. I spend like £2 on lunch and it's delicious, but they're harder to find. So again, you kind of want to check them out, have a look at the buffet, see what they're about. And for anyone that's not on a budget, it may be easier to just keep going to Bibi Sucos, Balada Mix, and these sorts of places. But I like the local vibe. Even though I'm not on a shoestring budget, I like the local vibe, I like the food, I get to know the owners, and so I often find myself going to these botecos. If you want really, really good food, you can think about churrascaria. It's a great experience. You go to a place, a meat carvery, where they've got different cuts of Brazilian, Argentinian steak. Picanha is the typical one. That's picanha. It's a typical Brazilian steak. It's like a top sirloin steak. It's very juicy, very delicious. And some good recommendations is Fogo de Chão in Botafogo. This place is a real experience. You spend about 300 reais, about 40, 50 pounds, 35, 40 pounds, 50, 60 dollars. You get an amazing meal, as much steak as you want, amazing salad buffet, beautiful view, great place to go with friends or with a girl if you really, really like her. I say in Rio, it's very easy to be healthy. You can find these places. You can have fresh juices at the juice bars at Bibi Sucos as well. This is delicious fresh juices, natural ingredients, no sugar, nothing added, for like £2, £2. However, it's also very easy to be unhealthy. If you're not careful about it, you can find yourself just eating rice and meat and not getting any vegetables, not getting any fruits and vegetables in your diet. And it's the same with the nights out. You could drink, you could get absolutely wasted every night for under £10, or it's very easy not to drink at all. You can just bring a bottle of water if you're someone that doesn't like drinking so much and stay sober. So it's a place of both sides. If you have your discipline and you know what you want, it's very easy to be healthy here. But I see a lot of people who are typically quite healthy go down the wrong route or end up wasting away their health and getting drunk all the time, because those temptations are without doubt ever present in the city. So it's a place that they have a phrase that is Brasil não é para iniciantes, saying like Brazil's not for beginners. Nowhere is that more true than Rio de Janeiro. You have to quickly adapt to the culture, otherwise there's 1,000 things that could prove to be dangerous. The sun, the heat from the sun, people burn up badly. Some people end up in hospital. The sea, it can actually suck you out. There are riptides on either side of the beach that can suck you out and people drown. The people in the streets, if you're not careful, you can get robbed. If you go down a dark street at night, it could be much worse. So I've never been robbed, right? Because I haven't put myself in those situations, except for right now with the camera in the street. Generally speaking, I'm careful, so I don't have any problems, but your security's in your hands. And lots of people do get robbed because they're not so careful. So think about your safety and your nutrition as part of your safety. It all comes together. And if you're careful about it and you plan it and you know what you want to do, it's very easy to be both safe and healthy in Rio de Janeiro. So I want to go over next some of the places that I recommend not going or that you should be careful about in regards to your safety. Hi guys, so I just want to finish off by just mentioning a few places that you should probably stay away from, and then we're going to tidy up the video. All of the other information that we haven't gone over, best clothes shops, electronics, all the kind of insider information is going to be found at the link in the description. You get the free cheat sheet there. For now, let's go over the place you shouldn't go. Northeast of Rio, by yourself, not a good idea. You make yourself a target, especially if you don't speak good Portuguese. It's kind of a dangerous place to go. Lapa, safe in the daytime, safe if you're with friends. If you are drunk and alone at night and you wander down the wrong streets, Lapa is a no-no, it's not good. Copacabana, it's okay, you can walk around at night, the bars are open, there's people around, but if you find yourself again on a dark street with no people and there's a group of kids, a group of young people, it could also be dangerous. There's a high chance that one of them will at least come up to test you, to test whether you're gonna keep walking and just ignore them, or you're gonna cower and then they might take advantage. Most of the time in Rio, if you find yourself alone on a dark street at night, there is some level of risk, because all it takes is one person for whom the risk of robbing you and getting caught is less great than the risk of them, going another day without food or in some cases drugs. And so they're going to weigh that up in their head and just act on impulse. So you do have to be careful. However, Rio is not dangerous per se. This fallacy that Rio is a dangerous place to come is just like saying that if you go on the top of a building, it's dangerous. It's like it's dangerous if you go to the edge of the building and you look over and lean over. Yeah, but if you stand in the middle and you're just standing still in the middle, it's not dangerous at all. Rio's the same. You can come here and it can be completely safe, or you can come here and it can be very dangerous. It depends on you. It depends on how you're interacting with the city, how you're interacting with the people, where you're going and what you're doing. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Any more details, as I said over and over again, find them in the link in the description. You can reach out to me privately and I'll help you out with whatever you need to know. As I said, I've got 6 clients here at the moment and I'm over here half of the year, so usually September until March, I'm over here in Rio de Janeiro. I've got a huge network here, great group of guys, both locals and tourists and foreigners. So anything you need, get in touch, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks for watching. Sam out.